Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes.
Just like from history, one of the really hard things is getting at the data. So we have all this proposed promise from AI, machine learning, all these different things. And then when you go into it, I've been at carriers where we have, a bunch of different really separate core systems, sometimes that are even managed by someone like Munich Re. And so it's almost impossible to get the data back out of them to actually do that analysis. And I think it might have been your session, but there was a little bit of a discussion about how, insurance is data rich and insight poor. Mm-hmm. I think that was really kind of where you were going. And it's really true. How do we get that data out of those systems into a place where we can clean it, analyze it, combine it, and then really push it back out to have an insight or an impact on our bottom line, on that loss ratio.
Right.
And that piece is really hard, and it's messy, and it's expensive.
Right.
So how do you really justify all of that expense?
So accessibility to data is what I'm hearing. Yeah, on your side?
No, I think I would kind of concur with that. I think I would just take that a step further. And where I'm viewing it is we've collected so much data. I mean, just think about HSB, 156-year-old company. Sure. Tons of data, but it's how you get kind of the data cleansing part, right? And then developing those insights. And it's this aggregation of that data and tailoring it. Everybody's looking for customized solutions, either, custom accounts, it's like a treaty book of business. Let's say the big nationwide, understanding how all the homes are kind of performing. And then the other angle is about, once we've collected, how can then we disperse it and make it actionable so we can send the right alerts to the customer so they can be more proactive. Portals are great, right? But there is an engine in the back, and that engine is the data that's speaking to be able to send you those alerts and those critical components about how to take those forward.
100%. So what do you think the impediment is? What do you think the impediment is to kind of getting the investment? And by the way, I mean, this isn't singling out any one carrier. I feel like this is an industry problem, right? Yeah. What is the impediment to get the attention that's necessary so that we can access? It's almost like there's a box of diamonds and we can't get to it. And it would change our lives if we could get to that box and crack it open. But for some reason, there isn't just the investment or even the willingness. What do you think the impediment is?
Yeah, I mean, I can start. I think, from what I've seen, right, I've been at, for a lot of different major carriers. There's all initiatives about how to best leverage the data and develop those insights. But it just takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of labor,
right?
And things change constantly, right? Products, got to go to products almost every 9 months, every year. Just consumer differences also change. So to me, it takes a whole dedicated effort to be able to kind of put that together. And just based on these consumer preferences changing so constantly, it changes constantly, right? So there's a lot of diversion. There's a lot of other transformation and priorities that come into play to impact that top line as well. So I just think as much as we want to develop a transformation program and data being the key, it's about truly getting to it and just other priorities takes it into consideration.
I hear that. Prioritization.
Yeah, prioritization is a big piece, definitely. I think the other piece is it's kind of the never-ending story because different departments calculate things differently. So as soon as you start getting access to the data, you suddenly realize, number one, all the things you didn't realize that maybe you shouldn't have been doing, didn't want to be doing, kind of the historical biases or system, or we bought this company at this time and then we traded this book at this time. And so it's not just a matter of access, I think, as we just kind of noted. That's the first stage. But the second stage is once you have access, I think it's really hard to explain up how much work and governance there is that's needed to get it to a place where it's actually usable. And if we think about that thing that we really want to be doing, which is pricing effective risk, if we don't take those things into account, it doesn't matter that we have all this data because we're going to start pricing risks at the wrong level because they look like our historic book or they look like this other piece. And so our predictions aren't going to be that effective.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.